views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of BronxNet or the program underwriters.
Welcome, everybody. I'm the Dr. Bob Lee. Another fantastic show lined up for you today. This is our Open BXRX, and this is what we're going to give to you. We'll sit down with a founder of an organization that's putting together great events and adding flavor to our community. And after that, we'll learn about a publication that is highlighting some of the best artists of today. And we'll speak to a representative from a local community organization that is providing great opportunities for our youth. Bobby C is here with the latest in the world of sports. And then finally, we'll speak to a philanthropist and community leader about her passion for helping others get the full scoop on why she goes by the name of the Black Fairy Godmother. So all of this and a whole lot more coming your way because we are wide open. Here we go. Welcome, everybody. I'm the Dr. Bob Lee, and you are watching Open. It's that live interactive program that brings the Bronx and New York City straight to your TV set. You can stay connected through social media at Bronx Net TV. We've got a fantastic show lined up for you. You don't want to miss it. We're going to eat, we're going to break bread, we're going to talk about it at least and let you know where you can do all of that. Our first guest is the founder of the Bronx Night Market. He joins us today to speak about the latest events that the Bronx Night Market has coming up in the spring, to highlight the newest food vendors. We're going to talk about it. And we can also look forward to lots more. He's right here. And we look forward to talking to him. He's no stranger to the show. Please welcome Marco Shalma. Marco, welcome.
Thank you, sir. Thanks for having me. I appreciate you.
Now, Marco, of course we do the night market and everything, but what have you been doing to prepare for what's coming? Because I think you shut down for a little while, but then you open it up in the spring, right?
Yeah. First of all, I want to say thank you for having us over here. You know, like we it's becoming a little bit of a tradition that, you know, we come on the Dr. Bob Lee show, and this is kind of like, that's how we know the season is going to be great, when we have like that kind of like send off from you. So I appreciate you. Thank you so much for Bronx Night for having us over here. You know, we've been working, our season ends in November, and then we start, you know, we're going back to the drawing board and thinking like, what can we do next year to top what we've done like the year before that, you know? And if you remember, we were the only one in New York City to be open in the beginning of the pandemic, like, you know, of fall and winter 2020, and then in the beginning of spring. Even though it was very challenging, you know, with permits and whatnot, but we did that because our community needed something. They needed something to kind of, needed to be out there, needed to do what they needed to do. This year, we're taking it to a different level, Dr. Bob. You know,
what are we going to do? What are we going to do? Tell us about it. What are we going to do?
So what we've decided to kind of pick it up a notch and turn it into like a full-scale festival. I'm talking about the big stage. I'm talking about live musical performances, dance performances. I'm talking about 20% more food and merch vendors from any other year. We're talking activation, giveaways, small business incubator. We're talking about like vegan food. We had like a little stand in a partnership with Bronx Eats to do like educational vegan food, kids playground. It's going to be bananas. It's going to be only once a month, on opposed to it being a weekly, but it's going to be a party. We can't wait to have you over there, Dr. Bob.
Yeah. Oh, we got to come up and eat up all of your food, you know. Hey, what are some of the new vendors that we have to look forward to?
So obviously, that obviously we're going to bring the good and all familiar. You know, there's certain vendors that if we don't bring them, no matter what, you know, the borough is going to kind of look at us like funny. But I think we have this year a rotation of 20 to 25 different food vendors that are more in the what we call the food porn experience, stuff that you see on Instagram and TikTok, and not necessarily have accessible in in the Bronx. You know, we're talking about like artisanal Mexican style sausages. We're talking about food on a stick, like, you know, chicken waffle on a stick. We're talking about different Asian cuisine, new type of Jamaican and Caribbean cuisine. I'm salivating right now just thinking about all this.
I am too. I am too. You know how it works.
And you know, and also the merchandise, you know, so this year we kind of pick it up a notch with the level of the merchandise and upgrade it into like our art and culture stuff, you know, where it's more like artisanal goods, you know, people that create their own stuff, anything from like fashion, accessories, different body care products. And it's just going to be a crazy, amazing season. And I can't wait to share all that goodness with the Bronx.
Wow. And it's going to be at that same location, right?
So yes, you know, and I want to drop something over here because you know we have such a great relationship over here. So it will be at Fordham Plaza every last Saturday of the month, beginning with the last Saturday in April, which is April 30th, and then every last Saturday of the month. But this year we have something special. We will announce soon when we do like a pilot, like a pop-up pilot, going and taking the entire full scale of the Bronx Night Market into various and different neighborhoods in the Bronx in rotation. We wanted to bring the experience to more Bronxite. We wanted the more Bronxite to identify what we do for the borough and support of small businesses, and also give shine to those other neighborhoods. So it's going to be exciting.
Marco, I heard you use, while we were talking, I heard you use the word rotation twice in reference to the food vending. So on locate, what does that mean?
So as far as the food vendors rotation, because we have so many vendors, we have over 300 vendors, we can only fit about 50. So we make sure that the curation process has a rotation of different vendors throughout the year. When it comes to the location rotation, we're talking about taking the show on the road. So basically like taking the Bronx Night Market and going into changing places. We're talking about by Yankee Stadium, we're talking about Soundview, we're talking about Throgsneck, we're talking about Kingsbridge. All these places we will start periodically to show up and do like the full-blown scale of the Bronx Night Market Festival, just to be able to kind of connect with more of our residents.
I'm sure the vendors would love that, right? Because they don't have to wait for that rotation to come around. They can just be booked out to those different places.
Exactly, and it makes sense on all levels for the vendors, for the community, you know, for the Bronx in general. And I tell you, like, you know, we've been working with the new borough president, Miss Vanessa Gibson, and the council member as well.
Give her a big hug and a kiss for me, will you?
Hey, anytime, man. And then, you know, and the Bronx delegation to find ways to make the Bronx Night Market the first, you know, out of all the boroughs, the first really like a night market and a festival that is like for the community, with the community activation. So, you know, there's a lot to look forward to, man. And we are the team and I are so excited. This is going to be, for me, in my book, is going to be the best year ever for us.
Are you gonna have a big kickoff or something like that? Any events coming up that we should look forward to, like that? You know, it could be a grand opening of the night market or something like that. Are you planning something like that? I don't know.
Absolutely. So April 30th, that's
April 30th.
opening day. Yeah. And you know, like any other opening day when it comes to like, you know, baseball or football or whatnot, we're gonna go all out on April 30th. You know, we're talking about the most luxurious lineup of musical performances and dance performances, the best of the food item that we can get, a ton of activation, a ton of engagement activities for the entire family, from the kids to the older generations. It's just going to be spectacular, and we have a bunch of special guests coming in, giveaways, raffles, you know, you name it, we have it.
There you go. I'm loving it already. You know, every time we get together and we speak, I envision like a big plate of food, and I want to do that food tour. Just go around and taste from every vendor or something like that.
You have to come over. I personally will take you around and kind of show you around to the food vendors. We can sneak behind the line, but don't tell anybody I told you. You know?
I won't tell anybody. We'll just make it happen. All right.
Exactly. I have another thing that I wanted to kind of drop and say, if we have a few more seconds.
You got 30 seconds.
So this year we are working with the borough president, the council member, and the Bronx delegation to possibly bring something to the Bronx that I've been working on for the last 4 years. You know, when I see Union Square and Bryant Park having this winter village, you know, when they come in the winter and the holiday season and they do the big tree and stuff like that, we want that in the Bronx. And this year is looking closer than ever. And, you know, anybody that follows us in at Bronx Night Market, you know, we'll give some more information about this. And we're going to bring a winter village to the Bronx this year. And it's going to be spectacular.
That sounds good to me. Hey, give me your website before we cut out
Bronx,
here.
it's just straight up bronxnightmarket.com. You know, and our Instagram is at Bronx Night Market.
Marco, thank you so much, man. We love you. Thank you for doing this, and thank you for all you do. Yes, Marco Shama, he's the founder. Yeah, Marco Shama, he's the founder of the Bronx Night Market. Make sure you check him out. We all are going to go down there and just there it is, right on the hat. Love you, man.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
All right, we'll take a break. We've got more open coming up next. Welcome back. I'm the Dr. Bob Lee from 107.5 WBLS. You are in it, and you have a seat at the table. It's a beautiful thing. Our next guest is the CEO and founder of The Report, the R Report magazine, and the founder of In the Mix Radio. We used to have something on the radio that says, in the mix, in the mix, in the mix. He's here today to tell us about why he started his magazine, highlight some of the great artists his publication has covered, and to spotlight their upcoming awards show. So please welcome to the show, Patrick Gloster. Patrick, welcome.
Yes, sir. How you doing?
Good. Tell us how it all started. Why did you start the R Report magazine?
Well, basically, I was managing artists back in like 2007, 2008. And a lot of artists was doing shows, but it was hard for us to break in.
Yeah.
If you go to different sides of the city, you had this artist had this part of the city on lock. This artist had this part of the city on lock. I used to hear a lot of artists complain. So I was like, well, what can I do to try to help the artists get their music out there? So when I started the R Report, it was basically for, you know, artists in South Georgia, me being from Lakeland and Valdosta. But I was just blessed I never imagined that it would got bigger as it have gotten. I never imagined doing the interviews that I have done. It started for the independent artists, but it just grew.
Who are some of the artists that you've interviewed so far?
With the new issue that we got coming up, we got Corrupt from the Dog Pound.
Yeah.
The last issue I did King Crook. I don't did Razkaz, Swift from D12.
So you get a lot of artists coming through, huh?
Yes, a lot of artists coming through. It's music, you know, more so entertainment, fashion. We also, you know, try to spotlight the athletes in the community. Give them, you know, like the football, basketball, baseball stars. Let's give them a platform as well.
That's beautiful. Hey, what does the R in the R Report stand for?
Oh man, I don't got asked that question several times over the year. The R really stand for real, the real report. But I just
the real report.
The R, yes sir. But the R just sounded more better, more marketable. So I just stuck with the R. The R really stand for real. We do real exclusive interviews.
Yeah. Hey, what's the long-term goal of what you're doing? The long-term goal, the vision of the R Report magazine. You know, what do you want to accomplish within the next few years?
I definitely want to be, one of the major publications, more so how the Source was. Like, I was a big fan of the
Yeah,
Source magazine. And the main reason for me buying the Source, always want to see the unsigned hype column and the max.
yeah,
How many max this artist got? That was the whole purpose of me buying it. But I definitely want to be able to just be on that scale of the Source, if not bigger. I
yeah,
know, a lot of with digital, everything being digital, we try to do more so digital too, but at the same time, people still do buy magazines. I have more people hitting me up like, where can I get this issue from? I could tell
exactly.
them, well, you can get it online, but they prefer the physical copy. I have sold more physical copies than digital.
Yeah. What are some of the platforms that you use? Conventions and things of that nature, where you sell
We
the?
do like showcases. We do
Yeah,
conventions, showcases and conventions more so.
yeah, that's good.
Like
That's good. All right, so what are some of the things that you think you need to do to bring it to the next level?
more so just continue like to interview more besides music. It's more entertainment, more people that's doing things for the community.
Yeah,
Like, with the DJs, we started something off spring from the art report called In the Mix magazine. That's where In the Mix radio came from. I'm like, well, I did a DJ's issue a few years ago and it sold real well, but I
uh-huh.
never want to oversaturate the magazine with too much, too much this, too much of that. So I just did a for a magazine for the DJs.
Right.
And, it does really well.
That's good. Good. And then you got into In the Mix radio. How did that come about?
Well, I had a radio show on a station in Clearwater, Florida.
Use
When I
on
was
the ones and
on
twos, or just use on the ones and
no,
twos,
I
or
was just,
on the mic?
it was more so talk. I was one of the only urban on that station because it was talk radio.
Yeah, yeah,
And to make a long story short, with the whole thing with COVID coming in, me and the program director, we had a disagreement because my girlfriend, she had COVID
yeah,
and I couldn't come that month. But the following month, he was
yeah,
like, well, you didn't let me know anything. And he just pretty much told me if I can't follow the rules, just take your show somewhere else. Okay. So I read up on how to start a station, which I had some people to tell me, like, man, you need to start your own station, you got your own magazine. I'm like, that's a lot of work.
yeah.
But that just gave me that motivation to do it. And
That's how it
last
happened.
April, I started it. And as of now, we got like 13 DJs on the station. Uh, we got some big name DJs on the station, like DJ Wiz from Delaware, TJ Super from Phoenix, Rampage from the East Coast. We got some big
Yeah,
name DJs that's a part of In the Mix, and it's doing real well. We
yeah.
getting, just for us to be in this short amount of time, we getting like 3,000 listeners a month already.
There you go. In the mix, baby. In the mix. In the
Yes,
mix.
sir.
So you have some upcoming events. Tell us about it.
Yes, I'm sponsoring. Well, the magazine is sponsoring an award show April 23rd and 24th in Atlanta. It's the
Yeah,
Southern Independent Artist Awards. We definitely like, showing the independent talents in the DJs, all the artists, fashion designers. It's different categories. We're giving them an opportunity to grow their platform. This is
yeah.
the second annual event, and I'm blessed to be a sponsor of it
There you go. And it's going to be in Atlanta.
in Atlanta.
There you go. Now you've been on the show before, right?
The Independent Southern Awards.
Yeah,
I more so be a sponsor. I'm a sponsor. Like,
yeah,
anything I can do to help the artists or the DJs, anything I can do to help, I always try to help them.
That's good, man. That's a
It's
blessing.
a good opportunity. It's a major event, major network. And that 23rd, we're doing a meet and greet that night. The 24th is the actual award show.
That's good. Yeah, you know, and that's Atlanta. In Atlanta, now anybody can come, right? How do they go?
Anybody can come.
Is it on your page? We can go there and get more
Yes,
information.
it's on my website. It's on my website. It's on my page.
Is there a fee for joining, for signing up, for registering, or what?
For the award show?
Yeah.
I think it is a fee. I think it is a fee.
You can place that all on the website, so we can go there and check it out.
Yes, I can.
Get all the information. I might.
We got May. We got, you know, Mr. Blasting Gang. We got his event.
Yeah.
You know, I'm gonna be able to be a part of that. May 21st, 22nd. That's a big event that's another big artist showcase the artists need to jump on.
Yeah.
And,
it's Blessing
and
Gang.
then, you know, the fashion show, that's real big for the models. Like the winner get a chance to go to Paris. So, you know, it's a big opportunities. People just got to pay attention and really pretty much just invest in yourself.
Good, hey, thank you for all that you're doing for the DJs, and you stay on the microphone too. We got to keep you on the mic.
Always. Always.
All right. Give us the website where we can go for more information.
Man, just go to www.thereportmag.com.
There you go. My brother, thank you so much, all right? Thanks for hanging out with us, and you're always welcome to come back.
Yes, sir. I appreciate this opportunity.
All right. Patrick Gloster, CEO and founder of the R Report magazine and owner of In the Mix. In the Mix. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
All right. We'll take a break. I've got more open coming your way next.
We built a media network for you.
BronxNet TV.
Come learn in your new state-of-the-art studios at Lehman College.
At Mercy College.
And coming soon to the South Bronx in the Hub.
Inspire with your stories, culture, history.
Your Bronx on BronxNet.
Engage with us.
Connect with us at your channels and at bronxnet.tv.
Learn, engage, inspire. BronxNet TV.
From the Bronx
to the world.
BronxNet.
back, everybody, of the Dr. Bob Lee from 107.5 WBLS. You are watching Open, and we thank you, appreciate you, and I love you too. Our next guest is the program director for Van Cortlandt Park Alliances, the Urban Eco Team, the internship program. And she's here today to shed some light on the impact the program is having on our youth. So please welcome to the show, Paulina Mohamed Ocasio. Paulina, welcome to the show.
Hi, Dr. Bobley. Thank you for having me.
Oh,
So I guess I could start by explaining what Eco Teens is all about.
I was going to ask you that and tell us about the Van Cortlandt Park Alliance. How long have you been working with that, and what's it all about?
So the Alliance is a nonprofit here in the Bronx. We work in Van Cortlandt Park. We really focus on restoring and educating the general public about the natural areas in the park. We offer free programming to the general public, and we definitely work a lot with Parks Department to maintain the health of the park. The Urban Eco Teens program has been around for 11 years. We're going into our 11th year. I co-founded it back in 2012. So I've been with the Alliance for that long. And the idea is just to really get young people out in the park to explore different kinds of careers in the green field while fostering their development as young people that's seeking, a college career or just overall general careers.
What are some of the careers that can come out of the park?
So it's great you asked that question because we just started our alumni database, building that out. And I got in touch with, well, they're not young people anymore, they're adults from 2012. And some of them are teachers in the STEM field for elementary school students. One intern is actually working for Parks Department as a gardener. The idea is not to really force them into this field, but literally and metaphorically to plant that seed of awareness for environmental sustainability and stewardship.
Plant the seed, shed some light on it.
Yes, exactly. Add some water, let it grow, let it spread and share with others. Even if they end up becoming police officers or neurosciences, which we have actually one intern that studied at Johns Hopkins, they might not plant trees actively, but they know the benefits of, having trees and green in your city. So that's the idea behind it.
That's great. And what are the age groups that are allowed to participate in this internship program?
We look for rising 10th, 11th, and 12th graders. So that's 16 to 18. The magic really happens in our program in the summertime. That's where we meet all of these high school students, and they come from all over the Bronx. Sometimes we get Upper Manhattan, Lower Yonkers, and we really get to know them over the summer, and it's 7 weeks long. Yeah.
Do you have a outreach program? Do you go into the schools or into the community?
So it's happening right now. Between February and May, we're actively, heavily recruiting. So it's just contacting all the high schools, cold calling, using our contacts. Pre-COVID, we would go into the schools, do presentations with science classes. Now everything is virtual. So we have our virtual open house. We're on the phone a lot. We're using our alumni. They're the best resource to reach out. They tell their friends, they tell their families. So we're definitely in contact with them all the time.
So what sort of projects do these interns work on?
Oh, a lot. We have so much going on in the summertime. So the main focus is forest restoration, trail maintenance, gardening, and horticulture. So in each little group, we have projects. So for example, when we had that huge storm in 2020, all of our trails were washed out. So our interns picked up tools and went out into the park and just restored those trails. So those are the types of things we do. We have lots of non-Indigenous species that are in our park. For example, water chestnut in Mills Pond. They get in there and they pull them out. And I have to mention the best thing about our program, it's, they're not just out there working. They're also learning, actively learning. And we partner with Manhattan College. So they get the science behind of what they're doing.
Yeah.
And they earn 3 college credits tuition free
Excellent. Yeah.
that they can use in their choice of college later on.
That's great. I used to work on this this program, maintaining trails and going through the woods and
Mhm.
looking at identifying different species of plants and trees. And I remember some of the people in charge said, we got to pull that tree down. If it was a rotted tree, to maintain the path and to create some safety in the area, they had to pull that tree down so it wouldn't fall down on people who were walking through the woods.
Right.
There's something
So
like
that's
that.
the type of thing we point out when we're out there, dead, diseased, dying trees. Why is it important to remove it? Why is it important to leave it, for the ecosystem? So all of those things we cover.
Now, you take applications?
Yes, we do.
So how do we get involved in the program?
Go to the website, vancortland.org.
Uh-huh.
You click on the internship page and everything you want to know is right there about the program. We also offer a second youth internship, Garden to Market, if we got kids that are interested in learning about food justice issues. So
Yeah.
everything's right there on the website.
Garden to Market. I like that. You know where it comes from, straight out of the garden, right to the market.
Right.
Sometimes you go to the supermarket, you don't know the in-betweens. Where did this come from?
Exactly. And it's surprising. It's like, where do my tomatoes come from? The grocery store, So yeah.
So what do you teach some of the interns?
So we do, we try to tie it to what they're doing so they have an understanding, right? So one thing is complementing the other.
Yeah.
So if we are doing forest restoration for that week, we're covering tree identification. So we do an entire workshop in tree ID.
I like that.
If we're working in the lake, the pond, we do macro and micro invertebrates that live in the pond and they actually get to go out there and do experiments. Trail maintenance, we learn about erosion, how it could destroy trails and how to combat it. When they're up in the nursery, so Van Cortlandt Park has 2 plant nurseries that provide plants to the rest of the city. So we're actually fortunate to get into the nursery and they learn the ins and outs of horticulture, how to propagate, what it takes to maintain a nursery. So those are just some of the things we learn. And sprinkled in there, because career development is important for our young people at this age.
Yeah.
We do cover resume and cover letter building, interview skills, things like that.
From beginning to end, we've got you covered.
Yes.
Now you mentioned about water chestnuts. You said you pull them out of the pond?
Yes.
What for what reason?
So they are invasive. What happens, you'll just get this huge bloom of water chestnut and they will completely cover the top. Yeah, and that's not good for oxygen flow for the life beneath. So because when they start to die, they sink and that just causes a big, nitrogen boom, which is not good for any water system. So they get in there and they pull pounds and pounds of this stuff out.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, if I was a kid, I would get involved in something like that. And then you said
they love it.
Yeah. And then you said you take samples of the pond and you put it under a microscope and find out what's teeming under this.
Yep, exactly. We work with our research scientist that's on staff, so he goes in there, we look for snails. Last summer, they were looking at snail poop to see what was in the poop. Really interesting stuff. And they love it. It's very hands-on. So we're finding different kinds of creatures, mayflies, dragonflies. So it's really, really
cool. That you don't ordinarily see in the concrete jungle, huh?
No. No. It's a really unique experience for young people. I always say it's more than just a job, it's an actual experience. Like you'll leave here feeling really good.
What makes you feel good about the job that you do?
I've been doing this for 15 plus years and I'm actually a product of a youth program like this. And I absolutely love our interns that come through. They're part of the family. It goes beyond just showing up 9 to 4. It's just keeping in contact with them and to see them grow. And I absolutely love that. It's the interns.
What's the website we can go to get more information on what you're doing?
vancortland.org.
vancortland.org.
Yep.
Paulina Mohamed Ocasio, Program Director, Urban Eco Teen Internship Program. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We love what you're doing.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Are you into sports?
No, I am not.
Well, check this out for a while. Look, stay tuned. Bobby
Yes.
C, he has the latest of the world of sports coming up next.
Last time on the show, we got a chance to speak to one of the top high school basketball coaches in the tri-state area, St. Raymond's leading man, Jorge Lopez. Here's part 2 of that interview. I was excited to see, you mentioned some of these great names from St. Ray's in recent times, and Malachi Smith is just playing so well at Dayton, and he's done some great things. This latest news with Cameo and trying to give back, of course, to the victims of the January fire here in the Bronx. Now, how proud are you? We speak about like mentoring students and not just with basketball, basically using basketball as a vehicle to kind of teach them. How proud are you when you see your former players go and do things to give back?
I always say it's bigger than basketball, and it has to be bigger than basketball. To see someone like Malachi Smith wanting to give back, it's a true testament to his upbringing. His parents, both Sharik and Elliot Rosado, have done a great job raising a fine young man. And for myself personally, to have an opportunity to have coached him for 3 years has been so gratifying. And just to see him grow as a young boy. I remember him coming to camp when he was about maybe 6, 7 years old, and him coming into St. Ray's and really flourishing as a freshman and winning a city title. And, it just having an opportunity to have my imprint on him has really been very satisfying. And again, I'm just extremely proud of the person he's become and wanting to give back to his community. That's just Malachi Smith. That's who he is.
It was cool. We said too on the show, because I thought it was neat, but he's got his own basically combo lunch meal out in Ohio at this chicken restaurant where you can get like this whole special for $11 with the fries and the milkshake. I mean, I think that's pretty cool, man. That's got to be exciting for him and the family.
I tell you, I haven't had an opportunity to go out to Dayton, but I promise you, when I go out there next year, I'm going to make sure that I get to this place and
the Mally meal.
Order the Mally meal.
Yeah, pretty awesome. You know, when people come up, when fans come up, because I mean, again, I think, you know, in trying to kind of educate our fans at home that watch the show, if they haven't been around the culture of high school basketball, I mean, there's a lot of fans that dial into high school hoops the way that fans of the Knicks or the Nets at the NBA level do. Which is why it is a high-profile job, which is why so many of the young players that come from the CHSAA end up moving up, of course, to play Division I basketball and maybe even play in the NBA. When we had Malachi Smith on the show, he talked to me about, you know, how that's still the dream for him, is that he'd like to play in the pros. Do any of the fans come up to you and ever ask you about, like, you know, who's the best you've ever coached or who's the best you've ever seen? If you had to kind of gauge that, is there a conversation? Is there a small select group of players that fit into that mold?
You know, it's tough. I always say I never want to get myself into trouble, but, you know, I've had such a great opportunity to coach so many great players. You know, for me personally, some of the players that stand out, at least under my, you know, years as a head coach, you know, Malachi Smith is definitely up there. Isaiah Washington, who's St. Raymond's all-time
Jelly fam,
the whole Jelly fam phenomenon. I tell you, that's a story for another day. But you know, just being around those guys, and even not just as a head coach for the varsity, but just being a head coach on the freshman level. I mean, one of the great experiences that I've ever had was coaching Darryl Truck Bryant. He was such a great player and a role model for all the other players in the program. I mean, he always carried himself a certain way, but to see him take the time out to teach some of the other guys some of the things that they weren't doing well, you know, I thought that was pretty impressive.
Now, for you, your background, like we mentioned before, which I think is great, because I think, you know, being a basketball coach is one thing, but when you can add in the component of actually being like a teacher, like you have your master's degree, you've obviously gone through all of that process to become a better teacher, and you teach all these different preps at the high school level. You know, how much has that helped you also educate someone on the art of basketball?
You know, I've always said that being a coach is exactly like being a teacher. And I really used gym as my platform in a classroom. I spent a lot of time trying to teach the kids and the players how to play the game the right way. You know, it's easy just to say, well, you know, run this play for this kid, you know, set a stagger screen. And if you get an opportunity to slip the screen, you know, do so. And just having an opportunity to teach them what that means a great deal for me, and just having that opportunity. You know, I always tell people the story of Gary Grant. Gary Grant, actually today, I just posted something on Instagram, was just named the SWAC Rookie of the Year. And I remember when I first got him as a ninth grader, I had asked him to slip the screen, and I saw him through the corner of my eyes. He's asking the other players, "What is that? What does that mean?" And that's when I knew, you know what, this is why it's important to teach the players how to play the right way, and as opposed to just instructing them. I think it's always made our teams a lot better when they understand schemes, or, you know, the purpose of what we do, versus just simply telling them, hey, listen, this is where I need you to be, or you know, I always encourage them not to be robotic.
Yeah, the fundamentals of the game. I think that's why it's so important that you have, you know, this type of skill set, that you can bring it to the game of basketball. Definitely an outstanding part of your profile and your personality.
Oh, yeah. And you know, I always tell people, you know, people just simply assume that being a coach at St. Ray's is my full-time job. But I always tell them my bread and butter is really teaching. You know, I just tend to incorporate what I do in a classroom on the gym floor, which is great.
Well, Coach, before we let you go, I guess speed round. I mean, what would be, if you had to, you know, kind of give, let's say, a set of goals, because I think a lot of times teachers and coaches kind of think big picture, think about goals. What would be the goal for you as the head coach of St. Raymond boys high school basketball? What would be the goal to outline, let's say, for next year and the coming years?
You know, I want to bring a championship back to the Bronx, and you know, we didn't get the job done this year, and I'm hoping that in the next few years I'll be able to bring multiple championships to St. Ray's. And you know, for us, that's always been the goal every year. And it's like the Yankees. If you don't get that done, you know, it's like a failed season. Although I don't feel that way this year, but you know, for us being part of such a storied program with so many championships, for me personally, the goal is to try to bring multiple championships before it's all said and done for myself.
You know, Coach, I tried. I did the swag today, going with you know, almost like I want to be part of your coaching staff, but I got the wrong apparel sponsor, I guess, and went Adidas. But anytime you need somebody to come and be on the staff with you, I think you do a phenomenal job here in the Bronx, and it was really great to spend some time with you here on the show.
Well, thanks for having me, and I promise I'll get you some St. Ray's gear.
I need some St. Ray's stuff, definitely.
Absolutely.
Appreciate you taking the time, Coach, and looking forward to next year. I think you got a big year in store with these couple of guys, Brandon Storrs Jr. and Ty Turnage and company. We're looking forward to it.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
Welcome back, everybody, of the Doc Bob Lee for 107.5 WPLS. You are watching Open, and our last guest is a philanthropist, a special needs advocate, a Black community organizer, and motivational speaker. She does it all. She's here to speak about her role as a community leader and shed some light on how she got her nickname, the Black Fairy Godmother. So please welcome to the show, Simone Gordon. Simone, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me today.
How did you get that name?
Well, I got the name the Black Fairy Godmother because years ago, I lost my job at a Fortune 500 company, and I wasn't getting anywhere with a lot of big organizations who were nonprofits. So my son was special needs, so I decided to go on social media and ask people, where can I get the help from him? And everybody was giving me the runaround. I even called 211 in my state, and most of the phone numbers that the operators were giving me were disconnected, or you will call it and it will go straight to voicemail. Make a long story short, I took it upon myself, and there was a Facebook friend who said that there was a group that helped marginalize Black single mothers, and I joined that group and let everybody know what my son needed. And there were 4 women in different states, and yes, they were Caucasian women with wealth and privilege, and they decided to take it upon themselves to advocate for my son by writing a letter to Children's Hospital and making sure he gets the therapy. One decided to bless my son with a year worth of depends.
Oh.
And the last woman said, you know what, you need education. I said, well, I can't afford it and I owe a bill. Her and her husband wrote out a check to the community college and put me back in school, and I graduated in May.
God is good.
And I said, I'm going to spread the blessings throughout the communities in the tri-state area. And that's how I got the name, the Black Fairy Godmother. On social media, I've been the voice for our people, putting women back to stability.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you for your service too. Now, how did your son impact your role as a special needs activist, and what services are you providing for families with special needs?
Well, there's many insurance companies that are not covering medication and medical supplies for individuals with disabilities. So I decided to advocate to go into the community, to speak to mayors, to speak to governors, and let them know they need to change the laws. It has been working very little. So what I've done is I created Target and Amazon wish lists full of medical supplies and the essentials that most special needs individuals need, and have people on social media, Instagram and Facebook, buy those medical supplies and ship it to the families in need.
That's beautiful. Wow, that's great. And then you started a foundation behind this?
Yes, it's called the Black Fairy Godmother Foundation. Many celebrities and many people who are in the media said to me, you need to become a 501c3. People need to know more about your work. So I started the foundation, and in 2019, I went from 100 followers to 13 followers within 90 days and became global, bringing awareness to marginalized communities that most big nonprofits are not providing the resources to us. So we as Black organizers in the community who are grassroots and who are getting their feet and hands wet and dirty, we need to come together and join forces and make sure that our people is taken care of.
Yes. Now, are you reaching out to anybody? Who's funding you? Is it corporations or private funding, or?
It's a mixture of both. It's a mixture of both. When I spoke about my story about me going back to college, Tori Birch and her foundation reached out, and they donated money to the Fairy Dust Scholarship Program, which helps single mothers over the age of 21 go back to school. So they decided to partner with me last year, and we were able to put 20 Black and brown women into school, and approximately 11 of them are graduating with a certificate. And yes, so you never know who's watching, because Bill and Melinda Gates grant my foundation a huge contribution, and that was a big shock, and it was a blessing. So you never know who's watching. So it's a mixture of private and corporate funding as well.
All right, I'm going to give you the microphone and the camera, and I'm going to give you the opportunity to ask for some funding, volunteerism, or whatever you need. Ready? 3, 2, 1.
The Black Fairy Godmother Foundation is always looking for volunteers and for private donors for the Angel Food Assistance Fund, the Emergency Assistance Fund, and also our Domestic Violence Fund. Please join forces with us and make miracles come true. www.theblackfairygodmother.org.
There you go. Now, you mentioned the Domestic Violence Fund. You got into that. How did you get into that?
Well, domestic violence works in mysterious ways. It's not just always physical, it's emotional and financial. And at the time I was dealing with my son's father, and, you know, with the blessings of my parents, they made sure I got out of that situation. So I decided to begin a domestic violence fund, which will take a woman out from her situation and move her into a better situation, and also fund her apartment. And we do a lot of therapy that comes out of that fund, housing, and also education as well. And it's been progressing, and thanks to Elizabeth Gilbert, who helped me also put it together and to make sure that these women and men, because men are also victims of domestic violence, are thriving in that fund. So
did the mom and dad came roll up his sleeves, he came and got you? How did it happen?
My dad is from the old school, and he sat me down and sat him down and let him know that it's time for you to move on, and it's time for her to move on, and she's going to always be taken care of because I'm his.
And we don't need no nonsense right there. The buck stops here. My
Correct.
daughter go her way, you go your way, and then, you know, That's it. You take care
And
of your
I've been good ever since. Yep. From the old school. So
Yeah.
I'm blessed to have a dad, you know.
Yeah, that doesn't play. But what do you recommend to women who maybe don't have that and they're looking for a way out?
The funny thing is a lot of people don't have family support, but with social media and so many people that are out here and all the resources that are out here, there's always someone who is willing to listen to you for just 5 minutes. That 5 minutes to get you out the situation quicker than a quickness. You don't always have to go to church, but your next door neighbor or the person on the bus can easily change your life. So give it a chance, because look at me, I am thriving and I'm saving more lives. So
there you go. Where do we go from here?
Well, we're taking off. I'm opening a few chapters in the US with some of the volunteers. And we have our 3rd annual Purple Diamond Awards that will be at the Newark Museum in Newark, New Jersey, where we're still going to be advocating and raising funds and showing big recognition to most of the nonprofits in the tri-state area who is doing it big. So it's a beautiful gala.
Yeah, all right. Where do we go to find out more about you and all the wonderful things you're doing in our community?
Our website, every single day, our website, or you can go to IG, the Black Fairy Godmother Official, at 12 p.m. Eastern Time, Monday through Friday. We have updates on what family needs help, and you can always go to the link in the bio and help a family in need.
There you go. Simone Gordon, special needs advocate, Black community organizer, and the Black Fairy Godmother. A book, maybe?
There is a pending book, but I haven't. There is a pending book. So we are in the works with a big publishing who is the 2nd publishing firm in the US, and that is pending. So within a couple months, I will be hopefully giving you a copy of my book.
There you go. Thank you. I knew something was in the works there. I just had to feel that and touch that.
Yes.
Simone, thank you so much. Thank you for all the work that you're doing in our community, touching lives and helping people get what they need out of life. And that's important. That's special. You're blessed. And may God provide a hedge of protection around you and your family, and maybe give you great favor and blessings.
Thank you so much for having me today.
Yes. All right, there she goes. Simone Gordon, special needs advocate, Black community organizer, and Black Fairy Godmother. That about does it for us right here. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We appreciate you. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for checking it all out. I'm the Dr. Bob Lee. I want to thank everybody for who helped us out at WBLS and helped us out at Bronx Net. And thank you for letting us share in this space and time. And always remember this: what you are is God's gift to you, and what you make of yourself is your gift to God. So choose your choice. Let your choice control the chooser. I'll see you over 107.5 WBLS. I love you all. Peace.